In Hawaii, time runs at a more relaxed pace. The ocean waves roll relentlessly to the shore. The sands shift and change with each tide, but life remains the same. Here, surfing has always been more than just a sport. It's a religion and a tradition, one that's been passed down generations. The North Shore of Oahu, esteemed for its powerful and dangerous surf, has forever been the epicenter of the beach contest culture. Here, the Triple Crown of Surfing with its 3 events has been transformed from a counterculture activity into the most challenging and prestigious series in professional surfing. Million-dollar athletes have left their footprints along the 7 Mile Miracle. Today we'll show you how, over the last 30 years, world champions, legends, and young guns have turned the Triple Crown into the biggest contest in the world.
The Triple Crown will always be the most important thing other than the world title.
Come out on top is probably the best feeling in the world.
Whoever wins it, it'll make their life, I would say.
Something that I personally look forward to each year. It's an opportunity to come and surf, in events where you've got 3 of the best waves in the world.
One of the most prestigious things you can win in surfing.
The honor of having that label.
This is the biggest achievement in surfing, is to win the Triple Crown.
It's the real thing, the divining rod for generations of surfers. The drama is so intense that only 13 surfers have ever claimed the Triple Crown of Surfing title in faith and glory. The Triple Crown of Surfing began as a barefoot adventure back in 1983. But in its 30-year legacy, it was always the history of modern-day surfing. Fred Hemmings founded the Triple Crown in 1983 by elevating pro surfing and rewarding Hawaiian competitive surfers. The miniseries linked together the Duke, the World Cup of Surfing, and the Pipe Masters.
In the early days, we used to be able to pull a pickup truck up, and the whole contest structure came out of the back of pickup. In 1 hour, I could set up the stands, put a couple of umbrellas up, and that was it. So I think for the early years, Sunset was a focus. The Ho brothers did very good. And then in the late 80s, Gary Elkerton from Australia came on, did very good. He won the Triple Crown in 1987 and 89. So I think the dominance of Sunset Beach was really important during the 80s.
I'm a very powerful surfer, and I kind of have a tendency to go for it. And that's exactly what Sunset's all about.
Well, back in the 1970s, the main spot, the real focus of the entire world of surfing was Sunset Beach. Sunset was where the best surfing happened, where the best surfers went.
I surfed in the Triple Crown my first time, I think 85 or 86. I made the final at 16 at the World Cup, and it was a good experience. I mean, the waves are, extremely big. I almost drowned, I think, in the semifinals. So it was cool.
The Triple Crown has always been the nucleus of the evolution of surfing, so after Sunset Beach, the core swung to Pipeline. Mr. Pipeline Jerry had a big influence on the perfect style in pipe, but the new generation of young guys with shorter boards in their packs preferred that wave, combining power surfing with fluid styles and flawless tube riding.
Then came the early to mid-90s, and that was kind of the era of Kelly Slater and what they call the new school or the momentum generation. And that was guys like Shane Dorian and Ross Williams and Rob Machado and all the guys that came in the early 90s along with Kelly Slater. And the emphasis here on the North Shore shifted from Sunset Beach down to Backdoor Pipeline and the Pipeline area, because Kelly and all the young guys really were good in small waves, but they weren't very good in big waves. There was kind of another shift in the 2000s when the Irons brothers came along. So Bruce Irons was the first to win the Pipe Masters, and then his brother Andy followed up. And then the big rivalry between Andy Irons and Kelly Slater during the mid-2000s. And some of the greatest battles we had during the Triple Crown really came down to the pipeline, where it was who was going to win the Pipe Masters, was going to win the Triple Crown, was going to win the world title. So there were some great rivalry and great battles through the mid-2000s. And then now you've got a whole new generation of guys that into really the third generation of surfers competing with 30 years behind us. Pulling aerials, John Florence is probably the best example, and really redefined what competitive surfing was here on the North Shore.
Other important people in surfing, like the photographers, also followed the history of the Triple Crown, but from a different angle.
I think in the surfing world, there wasn't much emphasis on the Triple Crown, but that emphasis has now grown to people that win the Triple Crown is quite a prestigious award in the world of surfing.
People are taking it more as a professional sport, and you know, guys are getting paid a lot of money. So it's, you know, for me to see that happen, it's great.
Well, now it takes us about a week to set up the structures, the stands. We've got bleachers, we've got big screen TVs, we've got internet coverage, we have TV production trailers. I mean, it has grown tremendously, and from the very simple, humble beginnings, it's turned into a big operation. So the events have grown much bigger over the years, become much more important, and over the last 30 years, really the Triple Crown Series is probably second only to the world title as far as prestige in competitive surfing on the Pro Tour.